But she could have come back to us in a coffin, but Yahweh arrested her, literally. And the police officer showed up at our house, and one thing led to another. And we said, that's it. Either we be parents or we're going to lose this child. And we sent her to Lighthouse Academy. But in the process, I realized, had there been a Nazarene Israelite ministry for me to send her, I would have sent her. But you don't know what. You don't know. I'm not even going to waste my time asking it. Is there a boarding school for girls or boys that is Torah-based, that believes in the eternality of the Shabbat and the Moedim, that I can send her to? I'll transfer her right now. When you can't pay your bill and when you're hungry, is there a Nazarene Israelite outreach, a YMCA type situation? And I don't consider the YMWA or whatever that thing is. I mean a real Torah-based, keep Shabbat, guard Shabbat. Is there somewhere that you call that you can go to get housing for 3 or 4 weeks to tide you over? Is there something? Can you let me know if there is? So that's when Yahweh started dealing with my heart to put together the Chaim B'Yeshua Human Resource Center, which is in existence, which features doctors, chiropractors, psychologists, psychiatrists, plumbers, electricians, people who will, nurses, RN nurses, people who will serve the Torah-keeping community. That's us. We're the Torah-keeping community, who will practice Torah and not just preach Torah. See, the Messianics and the Nazarene Israelites are very good at arguing about calendars, what time Shabbat begins, can you drive, can you cook, can you use the microwave? You should use a microwave. You got to use a smaller microwave. You got to use a bigger microwave. You should wear a head covering. It should be this and this size. It doesn't qualify as a head covering. We're really good at swatting at what's that thing? You know, swatting at gnats and swallowing camels. We come to specialize in that. But I challenge these guys, and I challenge these leaders. There's not a single yeshiva we've built. After 40 years, it's not a baby movement. We're in our 2nd generation. We have yet to build a yeshiva, a boarding school, a hospice facility. Did you ever hear of First Baptist Hospital? I have. Did you ever hear of Methodist Hospital? I have. Did you ever hear of Catholic Relief Services or St. Mary's Episcopalian Hospital? I have. The Episcopalians build. The Baptists build. We do nothing. We stand for nothing. We practice nothing except to beat up on the church. That's the one thing we do good. And to discuss the idiosyncrasies of how to apply the Torah, which even in Yeshua's day, there were 40 sects of Judaism that couldn't agree how to apply the Torah, that argued about the calendars and the tzitzit, and the new moon and the new sun, and the blue moon and the yellow moon, and the cheese moon and the Green Bay Packers, and who's in first place. They argued about the same things we're arguing about. 2,000 years later, they were arguing about the same thing. No boarding schools, no nursing homes, no hospice facilities, no health care facilities. Have you ever heard of a Nazarene Israelite health care clinic where you could walk in and receive medical care, clothe the naked, visit those in prison, heal those who are hurting, do the Torah? No, we don't do the Torah. We just tell others how they're not doing the Torah. That's why this movement is sick. But Yahweh was showing me on the way home, and adding revelation to understanding, understanding to revelation. He was showing me that, and Nina, and I said when we were eating in the Chinese restaurant, I said, and I showed her she was wrong. You know, she said dreams and visions and prophecy and a lot of the stuff that goes on in B'nai Yeshua. It's not of Yahweh, you know, in Pentecostal congregations, because it's not written in the Word. And I'm saying, Nina, you're getting discipled by Baptists, okay? You have to understand where they're coming from. Don't go to the extreme and throw out the baby with the bathwater. I was trying to tell her to have a balanced understanding, a balanced perspective. But on the way home, Yahweh spoke to me, and Yahweh showed me that she was right. And this is how she was right. Think about it. In addition to doing all these wonderful works of Torah, they do not deny Paul's epistles. They don't have bozos with mass followings who are teaching the children of Yahweh to deny the inspiration of the book of Hebrews, or the deity of Yeshua, or the inspiration of the Brit Chadashah. We've got that problem. Everyone in this room knows someone who's fallen away from the faith. Everyone in this room knows someone who's gotten into some kind of sexual polygamy because the Torah allows polygamy, or multiple boyfriends and sloppy partners and unfaithful leaders and unfaithful elders. Everybody because we've somehow, Yahweh told me to tell you, to tell him, to tell her, to tell him, to show me, to show you, they showed her, show me. But it's not in Revelation, it's not in Romans, it's not in 2nd Divrei Hayamim, it's not in Ezra, it's not in Joel, it's out of your head, it's out of your mind. And so we're dealing with all these casualties and all these shipwrecks of the faith. But notice, those Baptists that are faithful to the Word, they don't have this problem. Why? Because they don't receive anything. Only inspiration and revelation they receive is based on the Word of Yahweh. So that's a safer walk. You may not have the goosebumps, you may not have the deeper things of Yahweh, as you may have in a spirit-filled environment, but it sure keeps you in a safer walk. But instead of recognizing that safety in that walk, what do? Because they don't keep Shabbat, they don't keep Moadim, I am guilty as anybody is guilty. We beat up on that system, and without mercy, and I've done it myself, often sometimes in mean-spirited ways, okay? And that has to stop, because those guys don't have shipwrecks in the faith. They don't have shipwrecks. We do. That means their life is solidly based on the Word plus nothing. Our life is based on the latest prophecy, the latest revelation, the latest insight. You follow me? Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So I'm going to share this message with you. It's called Understanding Our Church Brethren. Not always easy to understand our church brethren, but one thing I want you to understand clearly is that they are our brother. I get this all the time. Dear brother Moshe, they don't keep the Torah, they don't keep the Shabbat, they don't do the Torah, they don't practice the Torah, they don't wear fringes, they don't wear head coverings, they eat pig. Are they saved? I'm going to answer that question for you today. Are they saved? I'm going to answer that question for you today. We get it all the time. It shouldn't even be an issue, because we have come to think, to place so much trust on keeping Torah that we forget that sometimes we think we're keeping the Torah and we're not keeping the Torah, and those who don't think they're keeping the Torah really are keeping the Torah. And I'll show it to you today from the book of Romans. This is, now some of you are going to be challenged, some of you are going to get upset, that's okay. Take a ticket, take a number at the bakery. You don't like what Rabbi Moshe is saying? No problem. Welcome to the club. It's a long line. It goes from here and it stretches all the way up to Orlando, through Titusville.
And beyond.
But guess what? You didn't call me into this. And my wife didn't call me into this.
Amen.
When he called me, I was alone.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Amen. Tell it.
And I met Rivka and I said, well, I'm going this way. You're going this way. You want to go together? And that's how we met. I didn't pause or stop. I got to walk in the truth. And I have to repent for the attitude that I had. But it wasn't just me. It was something that I felt went with the talit. And something that I felt like went with the shofar. It went with the hay. It was part of the territory. You understand what I'm saying? It just went with it. In other words, if you're Messianic or you're Nazarene, part of your job is to dump on the church and show other people how they're so in error that just going into a church makes you a Babylonian, Babylonian, pagan with a little bit of popery thrown onto your head.
Amen.
Well, Robert, I'll have you to know, I would never say put in the church. See, that's where I was. And I'm not saying that I'm smarter than you now because I understand this and you don't. I'm saying to you, I want to show you from the Word where Rashul has confirmed some of the things that he showed me. Okay? Let's start. Romans, Romeo. I hope this message doesn't bore you too much. Romeo 2:12. Understanding our church brethren. For as many have sinned without the Torah, God, without Torah knowledge, shall also perish without Torah knowledge, God. And as many as have sinned with Torah God shall be judged by the Torah God. In other words, listen, sin causes death. It is not keeping Shabbat that causes us to die spiritually and physically. It is not observing the feast that causes us to die.